Welcome everybody, and today I'm going to be interviewing Tron Black on stuff that's related to teen and crypto. So I'm going to have you, Tron Black, first introduce yourself.
Okay, my name's Tron. I've been in computers for a long time, entrepreneur, business. I was lucky enough to be involved in the Ravencoin project, so I've been working on that since 2017. It's been amazing, and I've been very, very excited and involved in crypto since 2013.
Cool. So to kick this off, I'm going to ask you kind of a general question. So imagine that you were a teen in this day and age and that you just have heard about crypto. What would you do?
Yeah, so one, start learning about it, and I can give some recommendations. I would, one thing that happened to me, or happens to a lot of people, is they hear about it once. They may hear about it from like the news, from CNBC, something like that, and they get a skewed view of it, right? It's especially, and this was maybe more of a problem back in 2013 to 2016. It's dark money, it's drug money, things like that. It's changed. Things have changed a lot. It's great money, which means that they were using it for things like that back then. But it's also now being purchased by massive companies and by banks, and banks are hiring blockchain people and things like that. So one thing I might do is kind of not put it off and kind of wait till you hear it the second, third, fourth, fifth time. If I had done something earlier than I did, that would have been more exciting, right? To be involved in 2011 instead of 2013. When I got in, it felt late. Probably feels late no matter when someone gets in, but just jump in. It's pretty exciting field, and it's kind of taking over a lot of things. Basically, what's happened is like the internet, kind of took over kind of all information carrying, from telephone calls to magazines, and kind of replaced those. Crypto is kind of taking over kind of all money transfer or value transfer, and it's just slowly kind of eating that world. Software eats the world, and so now it's the transfer of value. So that's what I'd start with. I would probably read a few books. There's a couple. If you're interested in kind of why Bitcoin's kind of like taking over the world, I would read the Bitcoin Standard, and I would ignore the one chapter about altcoins because the author's a Bitcoin maximalist, and so you should ignore that one chapter. But other than that, I would look at, if you're interested in like the technicals behind it, Mastering Bitcoin by Andreas Antonopoulos. And if you're interested in kind of like stories about what's possible and what's possible in the future, I would look at The Internet of Money, volumes 1, 2, and 3, also by Andreas Antonopoulos. And if you want to know like on trading and why something has value, I would look at Crypto Assets by Chris Berniski and Jack Tatar. So those are the books I usually recommend, kind of depending on where you want to jump in. You can jump in anywhere. You can jump in of like just getting a little bit of crypto. You can jump in by reading the books about the technology. It really depends. Eventually, they call it falling down the rabbit hole. You go down this path of, oh my gosh, this is like a big thing. And you start going in this multiple directions. And it would be kind of like saying, well, I want to understand all the stuff the internet can do. Where would you go, right? And it can do movies and books and voice and chat. And it's just kind of like this multi thing that has lots of heads. So just start somewhere and go the direction you want to learn about it, whatever's interesting to you. That's what I do.
Yeah, so when I first started into crypto, I started back like January, just a little bit, and my parents opened up an investment account for me, and I looked at Bitcoin and stuff, and I saw, it was low at that point. And then later on it went up, and then it dipped way back down. And I was like, oh, this could be a great opportunity. So I bought a little when it dipped. And then, I kind of put it off. I didn't really look at it. And then midsummer, my mom sent me like a news article, and it was about Dan and Sarah at Hydra Chain Technologies and about how they're tokenizing real estate with Ravencoin. I had absolutely no idea what Ravencoin was at that time or anything, but I contacted them and asked if I could do an internship, and that's how I got with that. But once I started like actually looking into Bitcoin, Ravencoin, Ethereum, all that stuff, it's a huge rabbit hole. Like I'm so far deep, and I think I have like 6, 7, 8 pages of just terms and other stuff. So you kind of hinted on it. Like, do you have any better advice for someone like that to kind of navigate all that?
Like I said, it doesn't really matter where you start. Start
Mhm.
where your interest lies, because then it's like the passion drives you instead of
Yeah.
somebody telling you how to do it or how to read. You can start by just getting some of something,
Mhm.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ravencoin, something like that, and just have a little bit or a portfolio of a few.
Mhm.
And then and then just watch it, read about it. I hate telling someone like a direct path because it is
Yeah.
so multivaried that
Mhm.
it's kind of what interests you. I think
Mhm.
would be my best advice.
Mhm. And would you agree also that you start with Bitcoin and then kind of work your way down, or can you start anywhere?
I think you can start anywhere.
Okay.
I think if your interest
Mhm.
is in being able to trade stuff before you
Yeah.
have the ability to have a bank account and stuff,
Mhm.
the DeFi is, I mean, anyone, an 8-year-old
Mhm.
can that understands it could do this,
Yeah.
and and that's kind of an amazing thing, right? There's no
Mhm.
reason you have to be like X age to have a bank
Yeah.
account or X age
Yeah.
to understand this stuff. So I think that's one of its incredible features is it's not not kind of controlled in that sense.
All right, let's kind of jump topics here. So earlier you talked about a little bit about the media and how that influences crypto. And of course I was influenced, social media is such a powerful thing. So what do you tell a teenager who's like going through TikTok, Instagram, Twitter and seeing all this stuff? How do you like navigate the crap versus what's good information,
That,
so you
that's
don't
an
fall into
excellent
the wrong
That's an
hands.
excellent question. So the first thing to know is there are a lot of scams out there. One of the things
Mhm.
about crypto is that once you send it, it's gone. You say, "Hey, I want it back," or they scam me. They're gone, right?
Mhm.
It's not a reversible money like a check or even a credit card or something like that.
Mhm.
So because of that, there are a lot of scams. I would also be really careful because a lot of stuff that kind of rises in noise, uh,
Mhm.
it can be the scams because they're the ones out there kind of pumping
Yeah.
and trying to
Mhm.
trying to find
Mhm.
people that don't know anything about crypto
Mhm.
and get their message out and things like that. So you do have to be really careful. So the first thing I would say is when someone says, "Hey, send me this and I'll send you twice as much,"
Mhm.
all of those are scams. The
Yeah.
part where you send first and then they send you something else,
Yeah.
all scams. Just
Yeah.
don't ever do that.
Mhm.
There are things like airdrops and things like that where they ask nothing of you.
Mhm.
Right? You create an address and you submit it. That's fine. The addresses are public. You can
Mhm.
submit an address and they give you something. Those exist. And the
Mhm.
reason those exist is because a lot of these tokens, their value is based a lot of times on the amount of people that are using it, trading it, that kind of thing. And this is true of the dollar as
Mhm.
well, right? One of the reasons that it's as stable as it is it's kind of spread throughout the world and everybody's using it and other countries are basing their currencies on it, et cetera. So it's not backed by the dollar's not backed by gold anymore. It's
Mhm.
backed by basically everybody using it. And
Mhm.
so people recognize that and they said, okay, if our coin's widely used, widely held, widely adopted, widely traded, that gives it value. And so they'll actually give away like legit
Mhm.
value. And if especially if you're like, some people, if you're making, you're a bank executive and you're making a whole bunch of money, like your time's not worth it. But
Mhm.
hey, if it's between that and playing a video game or basically going out and scoping out these places where someone
Mhm.
is basically going to give these tokens that may or may not have a value, right? At first, they may have a value later, they may have a value never, but you're getting them for free and you're never sending anybody anything for it.
Mhm.
They'll just give you the value. You can switch to Brave browser and whenever you browse, they'll give you a BAT token. I mean, literally, like it's instead, and they'll remove a bunch of other ads.
Mhm.
And so you're basically getting, you'll get a little pop up. It's not an ad in the page, it'll pop up that says, "Hey, do you want to visit this site that talks about crypto or this site that talks about whatever?" You can click those or not click those. Either way, you're going to get paid in BAT token. BAT token has a value, has a marketable value. You can
Mhm.
go and once you collect a bunch of those, you can basically turn those into Bitcoin or Ravencoin or whatever you want.
Mhm.
So that's a good way to get started if you don't have a bunch of money to start with. Just
Mhm.
switch to the Brave browser. If you're not familiar with it, it's based on Chrome. So it's basically a copy of Google's Chrome with these features added that basically allow other companies to advertise, and then they pay the person being advertised to instead of just going to Google, for example.
Mhm.
So that's another option.
No, yeah, that sounds all cool. What are some like mistakes that a person can make, and it can be related to like scams and stuff, but just like figuring out when to invest in a coin and
Yeah.
like
Yes. So for coins that you're actually going to spend actual money for, not ones that they're going to give to you, because if they give someone gives you a coin that's not scam, they're giving it to you. For anything you're going to spend money on, I would vet it really well. I mean, either stick with the big ones, stuff that's on the front page of coinmarketcap.com, stick with those, or don't. I wouldn't send money to the other ones unless it's really well vetted. That would be my advice.
Okay. Is there a specific time, like should you try and time the markets or any of that, or should you, if you like a crypto, should you just get into it and hold?
Yeah.
What do
Okay,
you
so
think about
in
that?
general, timing is very difficult, right? Especially if you're saying, I'm going to get in and I'm going to get out, right? I'm going to get in at the bottom, I'm going to get out at the top, because nobody knows where the bottom is and nobody knows where the top is. That's really, really tough. There's a thing called dollar cost averaging. Sometimes you'll see it abbreviated DCA. Basically what it is you buy a fixed dollar amount. It could be $5 worth every day. It could be $10 every month. It kind of matters. It doesn't, kind of depends on how much money you have and things like that. I mean, it could be $1,000 every day, whatever it is that you can afford. But it's a dollar amount for that coin on a fixed interval. And you can set this up like directly in Coinbase, for example. You can say, I want to buy $10 every week. And the advantage to that is when the crypto goes low, and say you're buying Litecoin, for example, when Litecoin goes low, that $10 will buy more of it. And when it goes high, the $10 will buy less of it. And so you're not trying to it keeps you from going, oh, it's going up, I got to catch it. I got to buy more. And that, what they call it FOMO, fear of missing out, tends to get you in trouble, because you're like, when it's on a run, you're like, I want to catch this run. And you're, a lot of times you're like the last one in, right? I mean, because all the people that are doing that are kind of like the last one in, and then that, and then it drops, kind of thing. And so by dollar cost averaging, you kind of take that mental fear-based investing out, and you're just kind of putting in a little bit each time. I also highly recommend holding. I mean, if you need the money, you need the money. You need to get it back out, right? If you need to, pay for school or something like that. But in general, it's very volatile, lots of up and downs. But in general, it's going up, especially if you're looking kind of the big ones. In general, it's going up. So.
No, yeah, that sounds great. So, you talked a little bit about DeFi and stuff, and I kind of came in this problem too. How can one get involved with crypto being under the age of 18 and not being allowed to have like an account on Coinbase or something? I kind of ran into that, and luckily my parents were nice enough to let me use their account as mine, and a bunch of other stuff. So, so like if someone's parents wouldn't allow them to do that, how could one get involved?
Sure. So it's one of the reasons I talked about Brave, right? Just browsing, you'll get that token. You can go trade that BAT token for Bitcoin. You can go trade it for stable coins, meaning dollar denominated coins that don't go up and down, that'll just hold their value. But you can also earn interest on these coins. So DeFi doesn't care if you're a dog. It's basically a web page that you can trade one coin for another. It's not asking for your driver's license. It doesn't care if you're 10 years old or 100 years old. It's basically just code that's running. The code is running on lots and lots of machines. So there's not a company that's there that has to do this. This may, it may become more difficult in the future, but right now you can take equal amounts of crypto, like a stable coin and a crypto, and put those in and provide liquidity. And so you're actually you split it in half. Let's say you take $100 of one token, $100 of Tether, and then you put that in, and then you actually earn fees as if you're an exchange. But basically, it's because you're providing liquidity to the contract, and other people that want to exchange those two coins will pay a small fee, and then you get that fee. It's relatively easy to do. You can set up basically MetaMask, or built into Brave is a wallet. You just need to go activate it. So look up on the web how to do that. You can activate it within Brave, and you have your own wallet built into Brave. Put a strong password on it, and you're good to go. The tricky part, I think, in that, especially not having money to start with, is how do you get crypto initially? And that's going to be a little bit trickier, right? You can find a friend that has it and get it from them. That's peer-to-peer, person to person. You can do the BAT thing. You can get the airdrops, the free airdrops, and then trade those for the ones you want. So those are ways you can kind of start without having to connect to a bank account, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sticking with DeFi, I'm sure you know that $600 million smart contract hack. So how safe is DeFi?
Yeah. So there are these massive hacks. I mean, just like mind-boggling numbers. Every day, and there's another $75 million one today or whatever. But I think that was a theft from a centralized one. Yeah, there was a $600 million one, but the person gave most of that back recently, which is great. But these are mind-boggling numbers. They're huge. Most of the contracts are safe. There's actually, you can actually insure, if you want, your usage of it. There's another smart contract where you can deposit some crypto, and you basically get kind of a contract with this insurance company that if it gets hacked, you get your money back. Most of them are safe, especially if you're dealing with most of the really big ones that have been out there for a while. The Uniswaps and things like that, they're pretty safe. But it is a risk. I mean, there's always that risk. It's usually a technology failure, and those are getting they're getting better. And what's happening is the industry's learning. So people write a smart contract, they make a mistake, a bunch of money gets lost, they never make that mistake again, hopefully. And then other ones that have made several mistakes and now are stable and they're holding a lot of money. Those so I would say most of the smart contracts are safe. They've gotten better. The ones that have been hacked, they've improved it, fixed it. But keep in mind, one of the reasons these things are as vulnerable as they are and getting hacked is each one of these is like a new custom program that someone's written that basically handles money. If it's popular, it's potentially holding, millions of dollars. And then somebody who says, well, I'm technical, I can look at that, watch how it works. They find a flaw, they take the money. But I mean, you hear about it a lot, right? Meaning almost weekly that one of these has been hacked. But keep in mind that there's like now hundreds or thousands of these. And so, there's for every one that's hacked, there's, hundreds that aren't. But don't put all of your money or all your parents' money in.
Sticking with DeFi. So the government, do they tax DeFi? Is that taxed at all by the US government?
So the way it works is it is taxable, right? You make a gain, it's taxable. The reporting mechanism isn't there. But as American citizens, we take the gains. You're supposed to keep track of what you put in. That's your basis, and what you gained, that's your gain. If you gain that, meaning you sell it back for another token within a year, less than a year, that's taxed at your regular rate. But a lot of times for teenagers making, I think I'm going to say like less than 40,000 or something like that. You're or less than a certain amount. I don't know. This isn't tax advice. I'm not a tax lawyer, but a lot of times your taxes are zero because you're not making, unless you're making a fair bit of money. Your taxes are up until you hit a certain level, you're not taxed. You get everything back. And so a lot of times that it's kind of if you're not making a lot of money, it may be a non-issue. You still need to keep track of it, especially because all of a sudden you could make a lot of money from crypto. And so if you do kind of cross that threshold, you are taxed. But right now there's no mechanism for reporting. I think they definitely want to fix that, but it's tough because these are quite literally programs that are running on computers distributed around the world that are like, we don't know what reporting is. They're just programs. So,
my friends, they're like really into like, trading cards and all that stuff. So I kind of wanted to talk about NFTs, and I think that's going to be a huge part coming up in the years.
Yeah.
And so can you give me some advice about NFTs and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So NFT stands for non-fungible token. Fungible means you can put the same things together. Like a dollar is kind of fungible with another dollar. If I give you a dollar and you give me a dollar back, they're kind of the same, right? You can look at a serial number and say they're different, but in general, every $1 bill is roughly the same and is spendable as another. That means it's fungible. Same thing with Bitcoin or Raven coin. Each one's kind of the same as any other. Non-fungible means they're unique. Basically, it's an easy way, or difficult way to say unique. So non-fungible, can't be mixed together. So non-fungible token or NFTs. So basically, NFTs are tokens that are created that are unique and potentially have collectible value because of their uniqueness. So something that's unique, one of a kind, can have a collectible value. So you think about trading cards and things like that, where there may be 100 of them, and so they're a little bit unique, or there's only one super important one, or something that's created by some artist that that everybody acknowledges or knows about, or something like that. So basically, you tie that to a token, and then this token, since there's only one of them, then that can be traded and can have a value. And this hasn't really happened before, because digital items, if I have a digital item on a computer, say on a hard drive, I can copy that entire hard drive, and now I have two of them. I can copy it again and have another one, right? So having digital items traditionally are kind of easily counterfeited, or you can create as many as you want. Because this is actually digital ledger technology, the actual item is actually an entry on a ledger, right? So there's only one entry on that ledger. That makes it unique. That makes it transferable. It makes it counterfeit proof. And so you can now have collectible items. And so I think as people like create these items, or they get tied to famous art, famous people, famous events, things like that, or important events, that there's only one of them. So those can become collectible items. Yeah.
So what do you see as the future of NFTs?
I think digital scarcity is a new thing since crypto. I don't know where it's going, but I do know that it's I think you'll see lots of creativity in that space, because it sort of brings artists and events and promoters and that type of thing into the space, that basically say, hey, this one token, or this collection of tokens, this one of 100, two of 100, this scarce token has a value, and only one of you is going to get it, or only 10 of you are going to get them, and that kind of brings kind of people in and say, well, I want to get that, or I want to be a part of it. The motivations for why you want to buy them and hold them, vary quite a bit. Some of it's pure financial. I have the one, and I think it'll go up in value, and I can sell it later, like potentially like a rare vehicle or something like that. And some people just want to have it and be associated with that event, artist, etc. So, but it'll continue.
Yeah. What do you see here? Kind of getting bigger picture here. What do you see as like when I'm like 40 to 50 years old? Where do you see crypto at that point? Or can you what's your opinion?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna guess. So I think I use an analogy, and I've used it in a couple of talks. I feel like kind of physical money, this idea that we have paper money and things, seems like VHS tapes, right? It was important, it was great, it worked, but when everything went digital, you kind of stopped using VHS tapes. They you have to drive down to the video store to get it, to rent it, whereas now you just kind of like, okay, here's $2, show me the video, and it just, everything's streaming. So crypto is digital money. The reason it didn't exist before, there's two reasons it didn't exist before. One, for most of history, right, the internet didn't exist. And then once it did exist, they tried to create digital money, and the government kind of said, we don't want digital money. And they basically shut down all instances of kind of digital money that could move quickly and easily over the internet. Bitcoin solved a lot of problems, which basically made it distributed to the point where it wasn't easy to stop. And so I think it's, from kind of 2009 forward, we're in a different world. And I think value now moves like email. And I think we're just starting to see the beginnings of that. So I think NFTs, cryptocurrencies, stable coins, all of those things will just continue to grow. And the idea that we're kind of, carrying around pieces of paper with pictures of dead people on it will seem antiquated in the future.
Yeah. So how do you see, I'm going to start talking about Ravencoin here just because I'm a big fan of Ravencoin and want it. So how do you see Ravencoin fitting into this picture?
Yeah, so I think it has lots of elements. I don't because we built it with the idea that you could create your own asset, which allows tons of flexibility. So it allows you to create NFTs really easily. It allows you to create your own token. The token can represent a share of stock, a fractional ownership of an item like art. It allows you to potentially make it like a gift card that represents an hour of your time. There's all kinds of things, right? The range of things that it could represent is near infinite. Raven itself, the RVN token, is a lot like Bitcoin in that it's volatile. It has its own market, has its own value. A lot of days recently that there's been days where $3.5 billion worth of Raven have changed hands, right, through exchanges. So it's very liquid. Recently, probably about 500 million per day changing hands, which makes it very liquid. So if you hold it, it's not something like, oh, well, who's going to buy this, right? There's just lots of, there's always continuous activity, right? So you can always sell it for whatever the market is. The market is set purely on supply and demand. The supply is going to cut, the incoming supply is going to cut in half next January. So roughly January 10th, the amount of Ravencoin kind of being issued into the market through mining is going to cut in half. So every block, 5,000 Raven come out in January, which is about 6 months from now. About half of that, so 2,500 Raven per block. So that's going to kind of decrease supply. That's going to continue to happen, decreasing supply, just like Bitcoin every 4 years. So I think it's a pretty good coin for transferring value. It's probably not good if you need stability. If you need stability, a Raven, something like a stable coin. We're looking at putting a stable coin on top of Ravencoin so that there will be so we're looking at that actually this week. There's actually two options that work differently, so we could do both if we want. So it can be used for that. That's a better kind of store of value. If you just would say, I want it to be locked to $1. I think Raven will continue to go up based on kind of usage and exposure and things like that. There's never been a marketing department. There's a lot of people talking about it because there's a passionate community behind it, but there isn't like a marketing department behind it. So it is one of the ones that doesn't have like a like hype and things like that. So I'm excited for it. I think it's probably one of the closest analogs to the way Bitcoin was born, meaning it's kind of born, fair launch, and now it's just the market kind of seeing it and adopting it and using it. So
no, yeah, I got invested in I bought some before it had that big spike from like 7 cents to 14 cents. So I'm kind of happy I got in before that. But no, I'm just looking through Twitter and everything, get super excited about the projects. And then I'm talking with Dan and Sarah about their real estate adventures. It's crazy to me that this is happening, especially in my hometown. So do you think the schools, this is kind of getting away from crypto and more opinionated stuff. Do you think the school system does a good enough job teaching kids or leading kids towards the right way with finance / crypto / all that stuff?
I would say in general, no. I don't think there's any school curriculum that's teaching crypto. My daughters went to a private school, and one of the teachers was excited about crypto. And so I got to go in and basically teach a class and give every student in the class some crypto. It was super interesting because right after the class, there were a few super smart kids that basically went around and said, hey, I'll buy you lunch if you send me the crypto you just got sent. And so they basically, there's a few students that kind of collected it all from the other students that didn't know what they were going to do with it and got a free lunch. So it was fun to watch, just how, kind of how that happened, like in this small classroom, somebody just kind of figured it out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that like the public school system is kind of even aware of it. I don't think there's any curriculum. I would imagine somewhere there's some innovative teachers that have found it and are telling their students about it, but I think it's just one off and depends on your teacher.
Yeah, I go to a public school, and I mean, I think out of the hundreds of classes we have one finance class and one economics class, and that's it. And it's a little disheartening because I enjoy that stuff so much, and I don't know how you're going to get any other kid to learn about it or be interested in it if you have 20 gym classes to choose from, but 2 finance and economics classes. So that's something I really hope to see improve in the future as well.
Yeah, the nice part is I think because the internet exists, you can just like jump in, and I would say pretty much everyone in the United States and most Western countries have the ability via phone, laptop, iPad, whatever, to be able to learn about this without needing to go to any kind of formal class. And you can learn about it in any direction you want. Doesn't really matter. Like I said, I gave you some books, but you don't need to start there. You can just kind of jump in. Just be aware that almost everybody gets scammed before they learn that scam lesson. So if you learn anything from this, don't give anybody money for something else. Those are almost always scams. And if we can save you from that one thing, it's pretty fun space to be in. Yeah.
Alrighty. So to wrap this up, I asked my friends some questions that they had about crypto. Some of these will be kind of repeated questions, but so one of them asked, what is crypto? I think we went pretty well into that. Do you have anything else around that?
No, the one thing I would say is that it kind of started January 3rd, 2009, and it's changing so fast and so rapidly that you probably feel like you're in late, but it's still early innings. And so jump in. It's changing the world, like the internet changed the world.
Who develops different coins or money?
Say that again.
I think they were kind of confused. They asked who develops different coins or money. I think they're kind of talking about like, what's the process of like getting a coin or like a cryptocurrency developed? And I guess it's different.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So there's multiple different kinds of cryptocurrencies. There's ones that are mined into existence. And so that would include Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ravencoin. There are ones that are forked into existence. And that's one where like Bitcoin existed, and then there was some disagreements and they split. And everybody who had Bitcoin all of a sudden also had Bitcoin Cash, right? And then that split again. Now everybody has Bitcoin Cash also has Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and there's Bitcoin Diamond. And so those are forked into existence, and everybody who has it before the split has both. So there's a bunch of those. So Ethereum Classic is one of those, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Cash, those are all forked into existence. There's other ones that are just tokens that are just created out of thin air. Now, Ravencoin has the ability to create those. You can take 500 Raven. I would take 501 Raven. So you need 501 Raven, which right now is, call it, $65 or something like that. And you can create your own token with your own name, guaranteed to be unique because only one person can get a name. You can choose as many as you want. You can have create one all the way up to 21 billion of them. You can have them non-divisible or as divisible as up to 8 decimal places, like 0.0000001 kind of thing. And so now you own them, right? So you have all these tokens. They don't have any value until you give them value. And like I said, you can make them an hour of your time. You can give them away. If you sell them, you can get into kind of legal trouble. So you have to kind of be careful. If you make promises and sell them, it's an investment contract. So you have to be careful there. But you can create your own token for $65 and you own it. You own them all. And what you do with them is up to you. There have been people who've bootstrapped coins by creating 1 billion of them and then giving them away widely to a whole bunch of people. And then all those people say, what are these worth? They're not trading for anything.
Mhm.
And then they get them on an exchange, and they're worth very little, but gradually that grows, and there's a
Mhm.
big community of people. So that works. So that's a sort of an airdrop strategy kind of thing. So there's other ones that are created out of thin air,
Mhm.
but are kind of utility tokens, meaning this token will allow you to potentially store,
Mhm.
can pay to store have somebody store disk space for you, and someone else gets the token by storing something, right? So it has a
Mhm.
utility in sort of that cycle. So there's lots of different ways to create tokens. There's also ones like NFTs. So NFTs are
Mhm.
just created, tied to, let's say, artwork or something unique, and then they're kind of one of a kind. And so they have a value because they're artwork that can't be counterfeited, because that token can't be counterfeited. So these are all different ways that tokens come into existence. And yeah, you can look at the different ones and kind of classify them into the type of tokens that you want to hold.
Alrighty, this question, this is something I'm kind of wondering too. This is just what they said, like blatantly, can the FBI trace my crypto transactions? And that's something I've been kind of wondering too, and kind of, yeah, I'm gonna let you take it over.
Okay, so this is a great and interesting question.
Uh-huh.
So a crypto address
Mhm.
is quite literally a random number.
Mhm.
It's a big random number, like between 0 and the number of atoms in the known universe. So a crypto wallet that you download, like not a Coinbase, not a Gemini, not one where it's like you're giving them your name and creating a bank account, right, where they're holding it for you, but a true crypto address is quite literally starts with a huge random number that your phone makes up, right? It's just, the computer's in there, just kind of like cranks out this huge random number, and then from that huge random number, which is called your private key, right? And so you want to keep that safe. And so whenever you have a wallet that says you write down your 12 words, basically that's your private key. You want to keep that really safe. But this huge random number, nobody knows, right? Just your phone. Your phone knows it. That's it. If someone sends you funds to that from an address to an address, the fact that it went from one address to another address, totally public. It's on the blockchain. It's recorded forever, right? But these addresses are quite literally just big, monster, huge random numbers. Now, if the FBI said, well, we want to know who did this transfer. Well, if somebody sent somebody to you and you've never connected that address to your name, nobody's going to know it. But the person that sent it to you probably knows who you are. And so if they can figure out who that person is, they can go to them and say, who did you send it to? Right. And if they ask them, oh, I sent it to Bob. And they're like, okay, now they know that this big random number belongs to Bob, kind of thing. So they call it pseudonymous, right? Meaning no, it's anonymous, but as soon as somebody knows who it is, they can kind of attach that, put that in a database, and now they know it's you. If you take and then spend those funds, and let's say go and buy something at Overstock, for example, which takes Bitcoin for stuff, right? But at some point, it's going to say, well, where do we ship this sofa? And you're like, okay, here's my address. Well, now at a minimum, Overstock, right, has your address and your name and can attach those two. It's really digging at that data set that the FBI could track you down, right?
My final and last question, and of course, I was talking to 16, 17-year-old kids, is would you consider yourself to be a crypto addict?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So really from not from the first time I heard about it, but from the first time I kind of understood what it was, I am a complete crypto addict. That's all I do. It's exciting. I love altcoins. I love the fact that you can create your own token. I love the fact that it's sort of a parallel system to the banking system. I love that it has more of a freedom aspect, right? We've got this crazy thing where like they want to know every dollar that is sent. The government's monitoring credit cards and checks and all that kind of stuff, and so money should be free and open, and it's kind of like, I consider it sort of a human right to exchange value, and crypto does that really well. So it's great for the rest of the world as well. In the US, we have a pretty good money system, right? People trust it and things like that. That's not true everywhere. So I would say it's definitely saving lives in other countries. People being able to finally save money and have money go up instead of the government debasing the money. It helps here against runaway inflation, which is starting. So yeah, I'm total addict for sure.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have today. Thank you so much for sitting down and having this conversation with me.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, hope this helps people.